Spooky Tuesday.
We're talking about three ancient hags versus the 20th century. How bad can it be? Bad.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
And it's Halloween, baby. It's the most important week of the year. The culmination of Sydney Palooza as well.
No.
It was just 2 days ago. I know. Okay, but we get a whole nother week. We get the whole Halloween weekend. There's so much more celebrating to come. Don't worry.
Sydney Palooza doesn't end unless you want it to.
I never wanted to.
Birthdays are a state of mind.
Sydney
Exactly.
Palooza is year-round, okay, as far as I'm concerned. But to celebrate the most important week of the year, we're doing a movie that is a classic.
A classic.
High art, I would say. And it's Hocus Pocus that came out in 1993, the year that I was born. So, you know, this is my birth movie, maybe. I don't know. Is that a thing?
A little something for everybody, maybe.
Yeah. It's just something wonderful. And if you've never seen Hocus Pocus, help yourself immediately. Seek help. We're here.
I don't know, Monica. It's like, it's not that well known, you know? It's like a pretty low-key indie movie. So like you can't blame these people for not seeing it.
It's true. It's
That's the thing, though.
Undercover.
It's I hear you saying seek help and I support you, but it's also just like, if you've never seen it, I don't know how that's possible. Like, how have you managed to avoid it all of these years?
Yeah,
the thing is, I became a Hocus Pocus fan, I would say, somewhat recently, instead of just like somebody who watches Hocus Pocus every Halloween. And it is impossible to escape, I thought. But you know, if you're out there and this is a first for you, welcome. Welcome to our coven. Two of us are Sanderson sisters. I don't know if you could hear that just in our voices alone. But when we share clips on social media, you'll also see for yourself. And then we've also got a very special guest here. Would you like to introduce yourself, our very special guest?
So I could be dressed up as Sarah, but I'm not, because I did not have the slutty, sexy equipment. Instead,
which
I
is
realized,
honestly shocking from you.
Yes, but also my entire wardrobe is just based off of Jay and Ernie. And therefore,
Ernie? Who's Ernie?
Don't you mean ice?
Ice. It's ice.
Gorgeous. Turn your head around. Show us your undercut.
I did not do the undercut.
You didn't shave your head just for this podcast episode?
I didn't commit to the undercut. Because, like, I'm glad I didn't. I feel like growing ice out would have been an issue. But Chelsea, you can Photoshop ice in the back of my head if you
I absolutely will. I absolutely will. Send me a photo of yourself with the back of your head visible, maybe doing like a sick little thumbs up. You know what I mean?
That would be really dope.
That's what I like, and then I'll deliver the goods.
So I dressed up as Winifred, and I dyed my hair orange, as you can see. And so, Sydney, I really think you should have shaved ice into the back of your head if you were committed.
Wow. I'm never gonna be as committed as you, Monica. Like, we all know this by now. I'm just not as dedicated.
I'm sorry. I dress to theme literally every week if I can. But okay, if you've lived under a rock, or if maybe you've been off grid like your entire life and you just came on grid to listen to our podcast, welcome.
Maybe you never had cable, and then when you were old enough, people just don't have cable anymore. Like, maybe that's you.
That's true. Maybe that's true. So you never had to deal with 31 days of Halloween and then playing this movie every single day
night
of those 31 days. But here is the IMDb synopsis of this film. A curious youngster moves to Salem, where he struggles to fit in before awakening a trio of diabolical witches that were executed in the 17th century.
Or Jack. It didn't mention that he's a virgin, though. I don't know how
weird.
that didn't make it into the tagline.
I'm shocked by that too, because that's kind of the biggest takeaway from this movie is that our main character is a freaking virgin. Max is a virgin. He's a virgin.
Is he a
Did you know
virgin
that
who
he's a
can't
virgin?
drive?
Wow.
He is actually a virgin who can't drive. I know we see him driving at one point in this movie, but I don't know that he is supposed to be able to. And if you know anything about the
Crashes his
original
car.
script, if you have seen like the DVD extras or whatever, I found like this whole YouTube clip of extras and background info. Originally, I know I'm skipping like way to the end right now, just for a moment, for the sake of the joke. I'm committing to the bit of explaining myself. But originally Allison was supposed to be driving the car, and there was like a whole scene in the beginning when Max doesn't want to take Allison, his little sister, trick-or-treating, and he's like kind of pitching a fit about it. There's supposed to be a whole scene where his dad like takes him aside and is like, blah blah blah, if you want to get your learner's permit or whatever, then you better take your little sister. So yes, is the takeaway. We do see him drive. That doesn't mean he's good at it. That doesn't mean he knows how. We saw Cher drive in Clueless. She was still a virgin who couldn't drive. I think the label applies.
Oh yeah. Also, he crashed the car. He crashed into a bunch of signs and a bunch of shit. He's not good at it. So it's clear he doesn't know what he's doing.
There you go.
That said, I mean, this movie has like the most stacked cast ever of in the world. It's not true, but it's up there. It's up there.
It's close.
Bette Midler, okay? Bette Midler, all right? It's Bette Midler and SJP, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy. How do you say her last name? We learned this.
We did learn this. Najimy.
Kathy Najimy, who is like the fucking funniest person in this movie by far. She's incredible. Her everything, her facial movements, all of it, the little sounds she makes. She's
her barking, hilarious. She's
gorgeous.
Maybe the only adult person I will allow to bark at me ever.
Can I do it right now since I'm dressed up, since I'm being merry?
Ooh.
I would only like you to do that in person, Chelsea.
Oh,
stop.
I know. Should I leave? Should I go? It also has in this beautiful movie Allison, who is played by Vanessa Shaw, aka what's her character's name from The Hills Have Eyes?
I don't know, and it doesn't really matter. Is the thing, because all I recall
from The Hills Have Eyes,
young mom / sister from The Hills Have Eyes.
She truly doesn't have a name in that movie? That can't be right.
She does. We just don't know what it is.
I just didn't open her IMDb page fast enough to say it right then.
I thought Sydney did open her IMDb page, and that was how she was credited. And I was like, that sucked. Her whole tits out, and they just call her sister, young mom.
Lynn. You know, Lynn from The Hills Have Eyes. 2006.
Of course,
our
Lynn.
Favorite movie that we've covered on the pod.
Yeah, here's the thing. I know you're like listening to this and you're like, wow, this episode is so natural so far. And that's true, and we're killing it.
Yeah.
But also, this is the second time we're recording it. And we did lose the episode the first time. You know,
we had a
Mercury
and retrograde snafu. It was honestly, very traumatic. I'm still unrecovered.
Sydney had to flee the country.
I did.
Sydney had to flee the country.
I was so ashamed.
I fled the continental United States in response.
And here, I sat here and I just wallowed. But other than that, I talked about this when we recorded last time, but I was so dreading having to watch this movie when we had it on our schedule and we were set to record. And I couldn't figure out why until I skipped around, or when I pulled it up, I'd like watched it previously, or my brother had, because I use his Disney Plus account because I'm a little leech. But
my dad's.
yeah, I pulled it up, and it was like a shot of Allison was the first thing, and I immediately was hit with like this sense memory of Hills Have Eyes, and I felt terrible for 1 second. And then I recorded to the beginning of the movie, and it was like fine after that. And so now when I rewatched it, because when we first tried to record it, it was literally several weeks ago now. But now when I rewatched it, I have nothing but joy in my heart for this film. Like that watch and that recording, like fully made me, I would say a stan. I would say Hocus Pocus stan at this point. You know what I mean? Before I really was a double toil and trouble girl, and I still am. But before I used to be like, Hocus Pocus is so overrated. Why does everybody want to watch it every year? And now I'm like, I would watch this every year for the rest of my life. I'm content with that.
There was a Vox article that I did not open, but I just saw the headlines that like made me mad. And it was just like, Hocus Pocus is garbage and not worth your nostalgia. And I was just like, why are you spreading false information on the internet? We are better than that. Okay. Better than that.
It's so fucked up, but like a lot of critics in particular, when this first came out, like fucking hated this movie so hardcore. There were like scores of bad reviews, including one from Roger Ebert, where he said watching the movie is like attending a party you weren't invited to and where you don't know anybody and they're all in on the joke, but they won't explain it to you. And then he even shat on Bet, the audacity to shit on Bet for the greatest role that anyone has ever played of all time. And he said that she tries to use noise as a substitute for acting. It's weird.
The acting, the noise, that's part. The joke that he doesn't get is that this movie is camp.
Yeah.
Oh, this movie is 100% camp. And it's like
book on camp.
Children's camp, which makes it even funnier, honestly, especially the fact that they just talk about virgins all the time. I think that I'm just never over the fact that they're constantly just shitting on virgins.
Yeah.
That's okay, but that's the thing. They are shitting on virgins. And like, he's 16. First of all, I can't speak for all 16-year-olds. I'm sure there are many who are not, but like that's a perfectly normal now I want to say that any age is normal to be a virgin. If you are a virgin, live your bad life. You know what I mean? But he's literally 16. He's baby. He's baby. And like baby. I guess my question also is like, is Allison? You know what I mean? Because like otherwise, why is everybody making fun of him so much?
I don't think Allison's a virgin. She doesn't give off a virgin vibe. Max, for sure.
He does try to get her to admit it, whether or not she is. At first he goes like, Allison, like, do you want the honors of lighting the black candle? And I don't know if he's just trying to deflect from himself and the fact that he's a big old virgin, or if he's trying to like get her deeds, because honestly they've got an 8-year-old right there. You know what I mean?
Okay, why would Danny, the 8-year-old, is so savage? She's like, a virgin lit the black flame candle. Like, girl,
does she know what that means? Because I didn't learn it until I was in 3rd grade, and that's when I read all of my King Henry VIII books and asked a lot of questions. But I would imagine that not all 8-year-olds are doing that. I feel like she should not have that knowledge. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe it's like when somebody asked me when I was in kindergarten if I had a hickey because I had a birthmark, and I was just like, no, because it sounded bad. You know what I mean? Maybe she just knows it sounds bad.
Do you guys think that the movie, the internationally acclaimed film Hocus Pocus, pressured youths into fucking?
I don't want to lit a black flame candle and bring witches alive. Somebody was like, I have to fuck right now just in case my candles that I have in my room are black flame.
They're like, God, I got shamed by, like, if I'm a virgin and people find out, I'm gonna be shamed by every single person that I know, and a cat, and a ghost, and a zombie, and a bunch of witches. Like, it's just mortifying. It's just like, gotta rectify this immediately. I bet this movie peer pressured children.
Did it also peer pressure adults now? Because now I'm like, Well, how is every child not watching this and then going to their parents and being like, "What's a virgin?" And then they have to. Did a lot of children get the sex talk because of this movie? Somebody answer.
I, as a now 31-year-old woman, still to this day have never had the sex talk with my parents.
Wow.
I thought you were gonna say, still to this day, don't know what a virgin is.
Well, there's that. But one time I was making a joke about a friend who, like, they had a V card and they were like going to make like a physical one. And
sounds like something I would do.
Okay,
sounds like something our friend did for me when I took her to prom. Hey.
Okay, but then we were in the kitchen and it was my friend Carrie and my dad. And Carrie all of a sudden just goes, "Sydney, your V card would be written in hieroglyphics." And my dad bursted out laughing because it was very funny.
I don't even get it.
Because he's so old and out of date.
I'm wheezing. Thank you for explaining the joke to me.
I love to explain. I love to share knowledge. I love to do riddles. That's a lie. I don't like riddles, but
savage burn. That's incredible.
Shout out Carrie O'Neill, my homie. I love you so much. Thank you for absolutely ending my life with that roast in front of my father. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Deserved. But yeah, I can't believe that this movie peer pressured so many children into losing their V card, but it's clear now that it did.
I can't imagine a world where that's not the case.
We'll have to take an Instagram poll.
Oh yeah.
Did you fuck immediately after watching Hocus Pocus 1993?
Have you been personally victimized by Hocus
Pocus 1993? Incredible.
But yeah, it's crazy because, like, back to what originally started this.
Sure. Rewind.
This
yeah. Get on topic.
Is Ebert being a bitch? God rest his soul. But he was being a bitch. In this moment. But like, people didn't fucking care about this movie at all. Like, when it came out, like, it pretty much like didn't do very well. Didn't it kind of flop? Right.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think they set it up for success, and I know that we when we had this conversation once before, we talked about Gremlins, which did the same thing, but both of these were holiday movies. Hocus Pocus and Gremlins both were holiday movies for a fall/winter holiday that were released in July. So this movie came out July of 1993 because Disney didn't want it to compete with The Nightmare Before Christmas, which came out around Halloween, I believe, for the Halloween Christmas lead up. They said, let's just like move this property. They thought they would take advantage of like kids being on summer break, like kids not being in school, kids going to the movies. I just don't think the Halloween of it all hit. And I don't know that it ever would have necessarily. I'm sure there was like a small cult following at the time or whatever, especially like theater kids were obsessed.
Stands?
Yeah,
are you kidding
all
me?
the Bette Midler stands of the day. But I think the reason this film got the following it did was literally just because like 31 Days of Halloween on ABC Family,
they just
Fox
started
Family,
playing
whatever,
it non-stop.
Yeah,
and we thank them for that decision.
No, seriously, it's because what is it? Disney assumed ownership of the Fox Family channel in 2002 and turned it into ABC Family. And so they started doing this thing called the 13 Nights of Halloween. It was 13 first. You guys roasted me for this
originally.
last time. But it was originally 13, unless there is a typo in this article. But I
think you said 12, and that's why we roasted you. Because it's 12 days of Christmas.
13 Nights of Halloween. And like they were like, oh, how many Halloween movies do we have the rights for? Like, not
this and Nightmare. Yeah.
One of them is Hocus Pocus. Gotta play it, you know? And then slowly but surely it came into rotation more and more. And then it was on the TV. And so people just put their kids in front of the TV.
Yes.
And that's how a lot of people do that. It's apparent. I get it.
They said only 1 or 2 Harry Potter movies had come out at that time, so we could not just play all 8 Harry Potter movies. Instead, we had to find other content.
It is Hocus Pocus, baby. So much so that there is now and I have never seen this, and I will never watch it because who would? But a whole day where they play Hocus Pocus on repeat all day.
Okay,
oh my god, that's a lot of Hocus
I will
Pocus.
watch that
A lot of Hocus
nonstop
Pocus.
because it'll just be on in the background and I can just like go about my way and not truly pay attention to it. And I can watch my TikToks and just every time they like say something like funny
Every time they
where
say yabos.
yeah, I was literally about to be like, what do they call him? Yabos?
Yabo.
Max loves your yabos. In fact, or Max likes your yabos. In fact, he loves them. Like
them.
just look up at the movie every time that comes on.
And just
Or-
a little hee hee.
Or whenever Winnie's like, damn, double damn.
Fuck, I forgot about that part.
And then obviously have to dance along with the song. I put a spell on
Right,
it.
right,
You gotta
right.
do the dance, clearly.
Yeah, of course.
And the sexy mommy and her Madonna with her titties.
Oh, very sexy mommy.
I should have dressed up like sexy mommy with Madonna and her titties. I fucked up.
Yeah.
I dropped the ball. I'm sorry.
Next
You
time
have
we
a
re-record the
triangle
Hocus
bra?
Pocus episode.
Right.
You have a triangle bra?
I could go steal some street cones and decorate them.
Just
Get
the
some
right
solo
size.
cups or something, you know.
Right.
Amazing, incredible. Okay, I mean, I guess we could talk about the movie and what happens in it. I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now we will.
And now we will.
Maybe.
now we will.
The last time I watched this, so not today, but one
Mhm.
week before,
Before.
a faded episode perished. I fucking had an emotional roller coaster watching this movie. I watched it at 6 a.m., which like I've watched a lot of our movies at 6 a.m.
Mhm.
out of poor planning, or thinking that that was a good plan, and it's never a good plan. But it was a good plan for this movie. Start your day with Hocus Pocus, people. It will put you on the right track because it's beautiful, it's hilarious, fun for the whole family, and then I hysterically cried at the end. So it was the full, it's the full spectrum of emotions. Today I did not cry because
Big girl.
I watched at work. And that would have been weird if I like someone knocked on my door and was like, Monica, and I was like, Binks. But I did feel a depth of emotion. It's an emotional roller coaster. It teaches you many things about
Mhm.
life, you know.
Mhm.
It's great.
It sure does.
And it
Other
starts
than
out
being a virgin isn't cool.
great takeaway, but also, you know, other takeaways, which I can't name for you now.
Witches should be burned. Daylight
agree with
savings
that.
time might save your life.
Don't agree with that either, actually.
No,
mm,
I refuse to acknowledge daylight saving times is bad. We don't like it.
No.
No. It's good. But what we want is to always be on daylight savings time.
Yes.
It's the when we're not on daylight savings time that's bad and sad and seasonal depression.
Oh,
Oh.
I don't know. I just know aren't
think.
they both daylight savings time?
I
No,
don't-
it's like one is when you're on it and one is when you're off it. But could I tell you more? No.
Are we
Someone
sure
out
this
there knows.
information is right?
Yes, I am confident in my guess.
Yeah, I
And
literally no idea.
yes.
I'm an
Yes,
adult
I'm
woman
committed
who
to it.
doesn't understand daylight savings.
Nobody does. It's fine. But you spring forward and then you fall back. If you guys
Yes.
didn't know that,
I knew that. I, just
I know
thought
about
both
that.
Of those were called like daylight savings time.
when you spring forward, you're on daylight. That doesn't.
No, I think
We
it's
need
the
to move forward.
opposite.
We need to move forward. Don't get
All I
bogged down in
know
the
is that
details.
Daylight savings time last year was on Halloween, and so we got an extra hour
The
of
hour
the
of Halloween.
5-person
Here's the
Halloween party
thing.
I had, and it was fucking awesome.
That was
That-
good.
That brings me to something that I researched for this movie, and also just a regret I would like to share, which is that last Halloween was supposed to be like the Halloween. It was a full moon. We did get an extra hour. It was supposed to be like incredible, crazy, gorgeous, wonderful, and then for me it
COVID.
wasn't. Like we met up in a park earlier that day and we wore little Scream costumes and we took little Scream photos. You may have seen them on our social media. But I wasn't doing inside things with people. And so I just like went home, and what did I do? Probably not watch Hocus Pocus. And maybe I should have.
That could have
But
saved the whole day for you.
My point that I was sort of moving adjacent to is that in this movie, part of the lore is that it has to be a full moon on Halloween for the black flame candle to be lit and to bring the witches back to life. But it was not a full moon in 1993 on Halloween. The last one, other than last year, 2020, the previous one to that was 2001. And then it really doesn't happen very often. And when I say not that often, I mean like not even every 20 years or anything like that. Like the last few, 2020, 2001, 1944, 1925, and 1906. And then I didn't go any further. The next one, not until 2039. So I will be doing a Hocus Pocus reboot at that time for that full moon Halloween. And I don't have the plot yet, but I'm going to figure it out. And nobody else steal that idea. That's mine.
I have
just
faith in you, Chelsea.
I know that you're going to be making an amazing film when we are, or our age will be.
Don't say.
I'm going to do that math. But the question that I have is like, why would they make such a specific spell to save themselves? Because like, how many things had to happen for the stars align for a fucking virgin to have the audacity to light the black flame candle on the full
why
moon
do you think
Halloween?
It took 300 years?
I mean, that could just very easily never happen, you know?
Okay, here's the thing. Maybe the black flame candle got lit every single year, but this is the one year that it was a virgin and a full moon. You know what I mean? Or maybe maybe
they could have gone in there and done that.
1925, someone goes in there. They light
like...
the candle, but they had just fucked. You know what I mean? Like, who knows?
Rats.
Next time.
Like, roll in their graves.
What would happen if you lit the candle like while like maybe like right in between fucking? Like, is it like
if it's like, in between, then you've already begun.
No, like the tip
what
could
if
just be like touching the outside maybe, but like not fully in there yet.
Let's deconstruct the concept of virginity for this podcast episode.
What about during foreplay? What if your foreplay is lighting the black flame candle? I guess you're still fucked.
Anal count?
They say that's the Christian loophole.
Like, does it count?
Let's get the director of It Follows on this episode. We had many a discussion about what counted as sex on that one. I think it's time to bring it back around. Bits to bits. Will that do the trick? You know what I mean? But I also just think that like it's a good protection to put in place for that lore. You know what I mean? Because we know about witches and how they lie with Satan or whatever. So if ever a ill-intentioned witch were trying to bring back the Sanderson sisters, I've seen The Witch. When did that movie come out, Monica? The Witch?
2016, I think, or 2015. I just
I've
up
seen
last
The Witch.
night.
20 mid-10s. And I know at the end that when she agrees to live deliciously, she's got to get naked with all of the other witches and the devil. And I know what's supposed to happen.
So we know what living deliciously means.
Yeah. So they said we can't take a risk that anyone who's ever even fucked would have not fucked the devil. You know what I mean? So it has to be nobody who's ever fucked ever. It has to be a virgin. And I think that's a good protection. I think a good boundary to set in terms of who could bring them back. Has to be somebody pure, but also why? That's kind of fucked up too. Because like, why would you ever want to bring them back?
It's doing that whole thing that's like virginity is purity, and so they're good and
Madonna-whore complex, blah blah blah. Yeah,
stupid fucking shit. That's fake.
But I have a nice discussion
point. You
point
just switch
here.
your outfits. Tell them
I
you just
did.
switch
Now
your
I'm
outfits.
Ice, baby. Amazing.
I'm ice.
Oh, so
Okay,
you were Jay before.
How many times I have
Yes,
to tell you?
But
Jay before,
we said that
and-
you were Ernie.
No, now I'm Ernie.
Well, she was Jay before, and now she's Ernie Ice. Okay, guys, so get it right. That's your fault.
That's
Okay.
on you.
Wow, Caitlin.
If you heard us say
Yes,
that she was
girl.
Ernie Ice before, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
We did not
What
say
are
that.
you talking about?
This outfit is crazy. This episode is crazy. We have no time to re-record. You get what you get.
Do the Sanderson sisters ever really die? Because think about it. They get hanged. We literally see them just like their feet dangling, traumatizing for literal children.
Sure.
True. Yeah.
And then
this movie
they're
starts
gone.
with child murder and 3 executions. This is
Oh,
the
I know.
darkest movie
Insane.
we've watched so far.
Insane. But so we get them and they're like, oh, they joke about being dead, but like, are they actually dead? Like,
No, because
Are
it's my
they
reboot
actually dead?
2039.
and then Max, Allison, and Danny Binks throw them in an oven at the high school. Think they're dead. They're not actually dead. I don't know how they survived that shit. And
It just
we
turned into a green cloud, a sassy green cloud.
Yeah, and then they like suck up. They're like, woo, we're no longer a sassy green cloud anymore. But then they all explode into dust at the very end. Spoiler, I guess. But we're gonna have a sequel. So
Here's the thing.
Are they
I was
dead or
about
not?
to be
For a
like,
sequel.
I was about to be like, they survived the burning, bodies intact, so arguably turning to dust is pretty final. But now you're right. I think that green spooky cloud was them. So if they can become a cloud and then re-solidify, I certainly think they can burst into sparkles and or turn into a statue of themselves and then burst into sparkles and re-solidify. So you will be seeing that as a plot point in 2039 when my movie hits the theaters, assuming that movie theaters last until then.
Hocus 2039.
no.
2030. It's gonna be called that, just like Blade Runner 2049 or whatever.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
2049 the actual year? Wow, serendipitous. Wait, was it?
I think it's
Blade
2039.
Runner. Yeah. Wow. It's a cinematic homage. I did it on purpose. I picked the full moon for that year.
Yeah, you manipulated time and space to get the full
You
moon
know
for
it,
that
baby.
year.
I'm a witch. Look at me. I'm Mary Sanderson.
I love that for you. I love this spiritual journey that you're on, Chelsea.
But yeah, I mean, I never realized this the first time. Oh, Jesus fuck. She barked.
That was for Sydney. I know she didn't want it, but I could tell, like, maybe she was curious.
I appreciate it. I wanted it.
Okay, good.
Ready. It's gonna hit different when you do that in person, but
Yeah.
it's a little preview.
How much of this do you think we're gonna cut out?
Oh, we're
None.
keeping all of this in,
This is
Chelsea.
amazing.
Every
What are you talking
moment.
about, Chelsea? What are
Every
you talking about?
moment.
This is fantastic. Also,
This
okay,
is
so
the-
at the
the
very,
stuff.
very, very, very end of this movie, they do set it up for the sequel. They do. Okay, we were talking about the sequel. They do.
Mhm.
I never realized it. I'm not gonna say what happens in the end, but like the very, very last thing that you see, which doesn't matter. That's not like what happens at the end. Is the fucking eye in the book winking at you, doing a little wink, wink.
Wait, you're right.
It does. It does that. I never noticed that before. I mean, like I definitely saw it, but I was like, that's cool. But like that means they're always setting it up for a sequel. They're always setting it up for a sequel. And we had to
Wow.
wait 20 years. No, how old am I? 28 years in order to get it, because we're getting it. I don't know if we mentioned that yet. There's a sequel being made, which
That's
it better be fucking good, honestly, after all of this hype. There's a
I
lot of
wonder-
hype.
So there's a book sequel. Like they did like a
Oh.
Hocus Pocus book, and then
They did a
it came with
novelization?
sequel. Yeah, and they wrote. So I wonder if the movie sequel is. I haven't read it. I know like vague plot points from the internet, but like
Uh-huh.
nothing concrete.
uh-huh.
So I wonder if they're going to stick to the sequel book, or if it's going to be like a completely new thingamabob. A thingamabob.
I bet it's a completely new thingamabob.
I wouldn't notice either way, but that's cool that there's a book. I'm always confused by, I guess not confused. Are any novelizations of movies good? I'm sure they could be. but I just
Probably
always
some of
find
them
that
are great.
concept so strange. But also like, you know, a lot of movies come from books and those are good. So like, why can't it go the other way? But it just seems unnatural to me. I don't know why.
The thing is, I could talk about this at length, so I will try to just do a short thought for you real quick. I think that for me, the reason that I watch media is for like character journeys most of the time. You know what I mean? I get invested in character arcs, and so a novel gives you a lot more space to really explain and expound on how a character is feeling, and the emotional journey that they're having, rather than just like giving you the plot on screen. Like you can certainly watch an actor's performance and like infer what emotion they're experiencing, especially if they're doing a good job. But a novel would really give like space to that, and would explain all of the little things that you maybe don't have time for in a movie, or maybe just like don't make it onto the final page. And so I think probably a lot of novelizations are like just as interesting as the movie if you like to read.
True. I had a weird
But
experience
what
today.
perspective do they pick to write from is my question. You know what I mean? Do they pick just one character and do they stick with it?
An
or
overarching narrator, an all-knowing narrator, that kind
an
of thing.
omniscient.
Yeah, omniscient.
Who knows?
I love that word. Today I read the book of Brokeback Mountain, and it's only an hour long in audiobook form.
It's shorter than a movie.
It is so fucking short. And I love the movie so much. The book was great. Okay, don't get me wrong. But like the movie has the flushed out emotional background stuff instead of the book. And that's
fascinating.
Like I was very confused, but I did still cry, so don't worry.
The movie was like, we have Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal. We want to see them
is a
kiss
visual feast
as much as possible. So please and thank you, and we thank them for that.
And also don't forget
true patriotic Americans right there,
because David Harbour's in it, and he's very cute in it. Just saying.
Wow.
Anyway. Undercover baby David Harbour. Let's talk about the movie.
Should we talk about the movie?
You know,
I think we should talk about the movie.
Maybe. I don't know. This is like so crazy. What if we review the movie on our movie review podcast?
Okay, or what if we didn't? Because I have a discussion question for you that is movie related.
Is it
but before okay, so my question is, the way that it's set up in the beginning, blah, 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 Emily has been lured away by the Sanderson sisters. Thackeray wakes in his bed and he's like, where's my baby sister? And she's like, oh no, she's gone. His best friend, his boyfriend is like, it's too late for her. And he's like, not yet. And they kiss on the cheek. And then he runs off to go save his sister. But he can't do it. You know what I mean? They turn him into a cat instead. Tragic. So sad.
Horrible outcome.
Yeah, they say the curse is that you won't die, that you'll have to live with your guilt forever. It's been roughly 300 years or so. Like I said, full moon Halloweens, they're rare. You know what I mean? They're rare. They're maybe every 20 years. If you are Thackeray, you're a cat, you know that you need to be on guard to keep the Sanderson sisters. You know that you need to be on guard to keep the Sanderson sisters at bay. But do you guard the house every Halloween just in case? Do you check your little calendars to find out when the full moon is gonna be? What if it's the 1700s? Do you just like take a glance up at the moon, and if it looks full on Halloween, and you're like, I'm gonna go just in case, and if it doesn't look full, you're like, it's fine. Even if you go every year, what do you do with the other 364 days of your cat life?
He obviously chases mice in the sewers. He explicitly states that.
Yeah,
for fun, for a snack.
The movie.
But you can't do that all the time. First of all, there's not enough mice.
They live in Massachusetts.
There's a lot of mice.
There's probably a lot of mice.
There's a lot of mice. I had a mice infestation in my house, and there were a lot of mice, and that's just my house. That's the whole town of Salem we're talking about. There's got to be a shit ton. He won't go hungry.
A cat and you can't die, so you can't die of hunger. So presumably you don't really need to eat unless
he's doing it for fun.
Hunger pains the whole time, right? But like, is that fun enough, or are you ever like, I'm gonna sneak on a plane and go to Alaska? Have you thought about this? Have you considered this?
Here's the thing. He's probably like a guest cat on like an avid lobster hunting boat or something like that, you know, like
This is like the
Hell
last place I
yeah.
was expecting this to go, and I like it a lot.
But do you know where they also have lobsters? Alaska.
Yeah,
He
but
could've
why go to
walked.
Alaska when you were like so close to Boston and Maine?
He's gonna go visit Derry just to see what's going on.
Okay,
He's like,
and maybe
whatever, I'll
he
be
coulda
back in
made-
364 days.
Is it in Connecticut or Rhode Island where the Mystic Pizza is? Mystic Falls. of Mystic Pizza. So that's super close to Salem, you know, and it's close to the Practical Magic House. So he probably like
he just
popped
does a
over
little
there.
witch
Oh,
tour
yeah.
just to
Little
see what
yeah.
other
spooky
witches are up to.
tour.
Oh yeah, he's
Good
got to do
for
that.
him. Good for him. Found a great way to
Pass the time.
Pass the time. But also, he seems like the intense kind of guy who just stayed at that house the whole fucking 300 years.
Sure,
Like, that's
sure,
the
sure,
vibe that
sure.
I get from Thackeray Banks.
He said,
Thackeray,
I lost
Thackeray
my
Bean.
sister. I was turned into a cat and my boyfriend doesn't recognize me and I can't speak to my family. So I will just stay here and I'm gonna fucking sulk for 300 years. And you guys are gonna be really
In
glad I
there.
did the one time a virgin comes along on Halloween.
Wow, the most perfect emo boy alive. Okay,
Gorgeous.
I have another question about
Okay.
Mr. Thackeray Banks.
Yes.
Amazing.
How does his talking work? Because like he can talk to Max, Danny, Allison, and the witches and Billy Butcherson,
Oh, Billy Butcherson is an interesting one.
but nobody else can hear him.
Okay. I think
I-
I don't remember if we
Did he
talked about
try
this
to
last
talk to the
time.
parents?
Yes,
Well,
remember he was like meowing frantically, and so you assume that was him like talking, but his parents probably couldn't hear him.
Oh, no. Sorry. I don't mean his parents. I mean,
Oh no, I
Uh,
don't think he tried talking to Max
okay.
and Danny's parents, but he tried talking to his parents, and they
I
were like,
think he
"Yeah,
can
absolutely
only
not."
talk. I think he can only talk because the witches are back.
Well, but the witches are back around the parents too. The thing is that I don't remember if I read this on IMDb or if this was a thought that I had in my little head. Probably IMDb, but I think that it's related to the fact that Allison, Danny, and Max were the only ones there when they lit the black flame candle, which is like what brought magic back. And so they can understand him. I would argue Billy Butcherson is also brought back by magic, so he's kind of grandfathered into that same system. When they with the book at the end, after they've burnt the witches alive, Max and Allison are like snuggling up in his little house, and Winnie is like weeping in her little cottage because she can't remember the ingredients for her spells to turn all of their little children into pure life force. And she calls out for the book, and then when they open the book after it's opened its little eye, Max and Allison decide to open the book to see if they can turn Thackeray back into a person. And it like shines that beaming light that they don't react to at all. Like they clearly can't see it. But when Mary brings Winifred to the window to look out for like one last glimpse of the moon or whatever, which relatable. But she brings her to the window and they spot it immediately. So like it is perceivable, but not to them. So the way magic works here clearly is like very intentional. I think it's like very much like whose magic it is. Like Max, Danny, and Allison light the candle so they can hear the talking cat that's related to that. You know what I mean? And nobody else can, because otherwise they would go up to people and just be like, the witches are here. And the people would be like, haha, good joke. And then the cat would be like, no, the witches are here. The witches are here. I'm a cat.
That's true.
No
Okay.
more.
I agree with you because of that little bit. Like when they went up to the cop, Thackeray Banks could have been
The
like,
fake cop.
hello, I'm a cat. And I am talking to you.
Instead,
Take
the
me
cop was just like,
what?
all right, kid, come over here. You really a virgin? And it's like, why must everyone virgin shame him? Why must everyone virgin shame him? Leave that
Because
sweet
it's
baby
funny.
alone.
pretty
How
funny.
dare they?
But also, okay, like for a virgin, he's pretty swaggy, you know? He's got
Absolutely.
that
Oh, yeah.
drip.
That it's not that nobody wanted to, it's that I'm waiting for the right woman, Allison. And you know that it's Allison he's been waiting for because he's ready to fuck that pillow in the beginning of the movie.
It's so disturbing. Oh, Allison, you're so soft.
You're so soft? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I felt like the tone of my voice wasn't conveying enough my expression in that moment, but like, you're so soft is what he says to the pillow he's about to fuck that he's calling Allison after Allison from his class. You're so soft. What a choice
nice compliment
of vocabulary.
It's
nice very horny.
You're so soft.
Oh my
God. So horny.
This
okay, I watched
is horny.
It is so horny. Sarah Jessica Parker in this movie is the horniest woman alive. And like,
but also me watching Sarah Jessica Parker in this movie.
You're the horniest woman alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I paid more attention to her this time. Like I watched her instead of watching whoever was talking, because that's when she does most of her amazing shit in this movie. Is like when Winnie is talking to Mary, Sarah Jessica Parker's in the back just being like doing some absolutely unhinged shit. Like there's this part where she's just like staring at her tits and she's like, ooh. In the background, while Winnie and Mary have a very serious conversation.
Look, anybody who's ever worn a corset understands that vibe.
Oh yeah, you look and you're like, those are mine. Damn.
Those were there this whole time.
All I needed to do was restrict my breathing. But yeah, also like that iconic moment where she eats the spider. Unhinged.
Okay.
A little hot still.
Talk about that because last year for the full moon Halloween, and also just because everybody was doing it during the big quarantine part of the pandemic, you know how everybody was doing like reunions and whatever and like little Zoom whatevers. They did a Hocus Pocus one for charity, and apparently at that virtual event, Sarah Jessica Parker was like, "Yeah, I really ate that spider," which like.
No, you didn't.
I have some questions. And I had questions when we recorded this last time. And then today I was like, I'm going to look into this more because I have questions. And every article that I found was just like one of those websites that is just like fully search engine optimization, not real articles, whatever. But they all were like, yes, she really did eat the spider. The question is, was it a real spider? And so it's just like, okay, if she chewed on you're saying there was a real prop spider there that was on her mouth and then she put it into her mouth and she chewed on it. I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
That means nothing to
anything. Anything. If they made the prop, then they made it edible so she could eat it, you know? It's just like, oh, I ate a piece of that sugar glass. Like I ate glass, but it's sugar glass, the kind that you can just crack.
But I really ate it.
But I really ate it. It's fucking sugar. That's not cool. It probably looked cool. I mean, it did look cool when she ate the spider. Disturbing. But that's not a fucking real spider. If it was a real spider, that would have had to been like a fucking tarantula because it was massive.
It was huge.
She did not eat a tarantula.
And okay, the thoughts that I had in my little head were that there's no way there was a real spider there just crawling along, luckily in that moment for her to pluck up and put in her mouth. And that moment is not big enough for them to be like, let's get a real spider on set and we'll have our spider handler bring this tarantula here and we're gonna do it. That's not worth it for that moment. So I think she ate a gummy spider and now is trying to claim spider eating glory when Doug What's-His-Face had real live moths in his mouth in this movie. So she just wants what he has. Doug Jones. I was gonna say that and then I was like, that's probably wrong.
It's Doug Jones. And yeah, that's like the most epic thing ever, that like he literally had moths in his mouth. There's nothing he can't do. I love Doug Jones so much. He is so cool. He is so cool.
He's very cool.
Every time you see someone in super spooky makeup that's like making them into a monster, it's not every time, but it's several times, it's Doug Jones. Every time it's Doug Jones, except for a bunch of times when it's not, but almost every time.
Except for that one time when it's Ron Perlman.
Yeah. But every other time it's Doug Jones. Like he's in Fish in the Shape of Water. He's all the spooky goats. He's not a goat. Ghosts in Crimson Peak. Like he's
in Pan's
incredible.
Labyrinth
He's in Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh yeah, with the
The hand eyes, because they can't see you do that. And also, like, the reason that he is all these characters, 1, he is a bad bitch. 2, he is a great actor. 3, he can withstand like torture essentially, because like having full body makeup on is like apparently awful. Like, who is
horrible.
it? Penny. We
Tim
said
Curry
in the last
almost
episode.
not taking the role. Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Curry almost wasn't Pennywise because he was like, not if you're gonna put me in a bunch of shit. Absolutely not. Didn't like Jim Carrey when he was the Grinch, he was like, could only do it for a couple hours a day because it was like making him go insane being in the full Grinch costume.
I have no idea, but I know our friend Rebecca, who was on our Magic 1978 episode, her dad is a Hollywood makeup artist and she does insane Hollywood makeup every year. And there were days that she came to school for Halloween where she like could not speak all day long, could not eat anything all day long, like scratched her cornea because of the contacts that she was wearing. Like,
Yes.
You got to put your life on the line for these prosthetics sometimes. It's
a
no joke.
Jaw one year, they like built out a fake jaw over her face so it would look like she didn't have a jaw. It was fucking insane.
And that was for funsies in person for one day, not professional makeup. I mean, it was professional quality because
her dad's a professional.
Yeah, her dad is a professional. But it was for one day in person. It did not have to look good on camera for 47 hours. You know what I mean? Like,
seriously. And the whatever other number I was in my list of reasons that Doug Jones is cool, the last
7.
number in that list, 7 maybe,
is
that he is like waifishly thin and eerily tall, and so it is easy to build things out on his body and still not make it look like he's a big giant Hulk man or something. So he can be all types of things and beings very easily. He's
gorgeous,
incredible,
stunning,
he's my hero, and he's hot as Billy.
Yeah. He is. He absolutely is. He is hot as Billy. You can say it, and you should say it. And that moment at the end when he like finally cuts the stitches off his mouth, and then he coughs up the moths. When I just said that he really did have moths in his mouth, I'm not joking. Not only was he wearing full prosthetics on the outside of his face, but they also built like 2 little compartments for the inside of his mouth. One side had the moths in it, and then the other side had like a bunch of dust or whatever or something. And it just like shot them into the air out of his real human mouth. Those were live moths in a little compartment in his real human mouth that he released out of his mouth into the universe. And we thank him.
He's a hero. He's my hero. I love him.
I
could have done with more Billy in this movie, honestly, because Billy is a great character. And he single-handedly has brought the word trollop back into my day-to-day.
Gorgeous.
And
my only concern then would be that we would get the reveal too early that Billy's actually on our side. You know what I mean?
True.
That he's actually like, fuck off, Winifred.
I want to know more about Billy's whole life because he is hooking up with Winnie and also Sarah. Again, this movie is horny.
Girl.
Horny. Like way too horny for a children's movie.
Justina. It went right over our heads. I didn't pick up on any of that shit. None.
I knew there was something powerful about this scene with Sarah Jessica Parker on her broomstick singing to the little children. But I did not know what it was until very recently. And then I was like, that was not a straight feeling. But other than that, you know, I didn't get it. And I guess that wasn't the moment where I was like, Mom, what's virgin mean? You know what I mean? So like, you know, we look back and we see all these things now. That's how it always is with kids movies, I think. And with certain Avril Lavigne songs.
Oh.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to just let you figure that one out on your own, I think.
Oh,
that's a tangent for another time. What's the one? I don't want to, I'm bashful now about singing because Adam said that singing was better. But you know, the one where it's like, I want to see you go down on one knee. Marry me today. There's another part before that. Yeah. Things I'll never say. That's the name of it. Yeah.
Okay. Oh
There's
my God, Avril.
I want to see you go
Now
down
we're singing
on
Avril
one
Lavigne
knee.
now.
And there's another one before that. How does it? Oh, I want to blow you away. She's like, I want to blow you away. I want to see you go down. Girl. She said, I want to 69 and then we can get married.
I think everybody wants to 69 and then get married.
I literally listened to that song the other day as an adult woman and didn't get any of that.
Oh my God. I remember being young, being like, that's inappropriate.
I did not put that together until right now. Thank you, Chelsea. You have opened my eyes.
You're welcome. And that was an original thought that I had. Horny. I did see a TikTok talking about that recently. Kudos to that TikTok person. They opened everybody's eyes, not mine though. Mine were already open. Because I had that thought.
Mine were wide open, baby.
Yeah, because I was a puritanical little child being like, that's not okay to say. And now I'm on here talking about Sarah Jessica Parker's boobs. So, we all grow, we all change.
Okay, but
can we talk about the movie?
Sarah Jessica Parker in this movie one of your bisexual awakenings? Because yes.
Was it an awakening? I don't know, because I stayed asleep for another 25 years. But other than that, it awoke something. You know what I mean? Did I know what it was for a long time? No, but it got things moving. Maybe
probably in like 2001, 2002, whenever like Disney bought Fox and started playing it all the time. I was like, oh yeah, I like this.
Do you think that this movie playing all the time for all of our youth has awakened so many bisexual women in our generation?
No wonder all of our friends are so gay.
That's why all of our friends are gay.
Sarah Jessica, you did it again. You did it again, Sarah Jessica.
I hate just saying the first two names. I hate that.
Oh, you gotta say all three.
No, that's her first name.
It's all or none, in my opinion.
It is pretty funny.
But the movie.
Jessica.
Sarah Jessica, my good old pal. Should we talk about the movie? This episode is chaos. And that's fine.
I think it's good.
Here's the thing. What else would you expect for the Halloween movie?
They didn't need a play-by-play of Hocus Pocus. They've seen Hocus Pocus.
Everybody's seen Hocus Pocus.
No,
I think it's fun when we do them like this too. Yeah, I think it's great. I've laughed a lot, and that's all that matters, is that we've laughed.
Okay, one of my favorite things that I literally never noticed before. I've never noticed this before until I like just rewatched it today. The scene after they are zoop, 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 back from the smoke cloud, right? And they are
love the sound effect.
They're like walking, we see like Jay and Ice, and they're like, you wanna, something, and watch babes undress? And they're like, it's 3 a.m. The babes are already undressed. And that's when the Sanderson sisters like meet, like they interact with Jay and Ice, and you realize it's Mary has tracked down Max's shoe.
Yeah. That's why.
And I've never noticed that before, but she goes, oh, it's like it smells the same, but the wrong person. So she was like tracking.
Whoa!
Yeah, I've never noticed that before.
Yep.
That's high-key very cool.
Trouble.
Okay.
It's karma, baby. That's what you get for stealing Max's shoes, his fresh kicks.
They could have avoided getting roped in with the witches entirely, but no, they had to steal. That is incredible. I love that, because I felt like that scene was there to be like, time check, it's 3 a.m., only a few hours till dawn. And I thought that was great, because it's establishing like time is passing. This movie is only an hour and a half, but just so you know, here's where we are, here's where the stakes are at this point in the film. But that's really interesting because they kind of use her smell throughout, but they don't necessarily highlight it all the time. She does her little barks, but her whole thing actually is that her dad was a bloodhound. And I have some questions about that. You may also have some questions about that, but in the original script, first of all, okay, so you know how in the beginning, this is a moment that I love. I'm sorry, I'm taking a roundabout journey to get to where I'm going, but just give me a sec. In the beginning, when they're in class, they're talking about the Sanderson sisters, and Max gives Allison his number and she's like, yeah, okay. He doesn't believe in spooky ghost shit for Halloween. What a buzzkill. So I'm not interested, because then when they're outside, he introduces himself again and she gives him the paper and it's his same number. But then when she sees him at the house, they're talking about the Sanderson sisters and she's like, oh, my special interest. Do you want to hear more about my special interest? Okay, now I'm interested. But she takes them to the Sanderson sisters' house. And originally she had this whole scene where she was like explaining everything. And the quote was, that's Winifred, the eldest. Her father was a warlock. This is Mary. Her father was a bloodhound, and she could follow the scent of a child for miles. Sarah, the youngest, was strange. She would lure children, usually young boys, into the woods to play, and they'd never be seen again. And then SJP said in like bonus footage that Winifred, Sarah, and Mary have 3 different fathers. Her father was the village idiot. So we've got a warlock, a bloodhound, and the village idiot. So I would love to meet Mommy Sanderson. Mommy Sanderson,
maybe, a hoe.
Maybe
no wonder they're all making fun of virgins.
And points are being made.
Shit. I like that from the get-go, like SJP is just like a creepy pervert.
There's a lot of like
her whole fucking thing.
There's some questionable moments in this movie. Like, you've got Sarah being like
child butts.
You've got like Sarah being like, hang him on a hook and let me play with him. Like, okay, girl, like, what are we doing? Then you have 300-year-old cat man Thackeray Binks just like being all up in bed with an 8-year-old girl. Like, I know he's a cat, but he's also a man.
The kiss at the end is a little too not siblingy for me.
I totally fucking disagree with you on that, because last time we recorded this, you said the same thing, and I watched it again thinking about this. I was like, he just whispers in her ear that I'll always be with you because they're gonna never see each other again because he's fucking dead now. And then he literally just goes,
maybe it was on the forehead. Maybe it was on the forehead. I don't know.
He kissed everybody kissed on the cheek in the 17th century. Chelsea, you didn't know?
That's true. I've heard
you weren't allowed to kiss in the 17th century. It was sinful.
It was like Europe.
You can only do anal.
It's like Europe. Everybody kisses on the cheek. It's fine. Sydney!
That's how you light the flame candle, Monica.
Oh my
kisses
God.
And other stuff.
Oh my fucking God. Okay, well, before we get to the end of the movie, one little part that I really like about this movie is the whole bit with the devil.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And Kathy Najimy's real dog.
Oh,
Henry
amazing.
The dog. I think his name was Henry.
Henry the dog is an incredible little actor. But every little bit of that part is so funny. The fact that they like are just absolutely convinced that this man's dollar store Satan costume makes him the real Satan. Amazing. And also like a little part of it that I never noticed before, or didn't pay enough attention to, was when Mary's watching the TV with the video of the baby like running around like the room, and she's like, ah! She's like losing her absolute shit over it. And like I thought at first she was just like, oh, moving pictures, what's happening? But like it's that, but she thinks there's a baby in front of her and she's trying to fucking eat it. Like that's what is happening.
There's a lot of really good small details in this movie. I think it's pretty artfully made, you know what I mean? And Ebert? It was like, Ebert. It was like technologically advanced for its time too. Like this was some of the first real usage of CGI, not for the moths as mentioned, but for Thackeray Binks. It was like a huge thing trying to make the cat like look real and really talk. And there's like one or two moments where they use a puppet, and that puppet did go on to play Salem the cat on Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Debunked.
Debunked?
I follow.
No, IMDb trivia. Why would you lie to me?
I follow the daughter of the makeup artist for this movie, and she on TikTok, and she has a TikTok and it's fun. And she did a TikTok video, and she was like debunking myths about whatever, and one of them was that, and she was like, it's not the same cat that they use for Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Why do you guys think that? And then I was like, I gotta tell Chelsea. And then
maybe she's the one that's lying.
Why you always lying? I don't know about that.
Why would IMDb trivia lie? This girl,
because it is. There's no checks and balances on IMDb trivia. It's just whatever people think is true, and a lot of the time it is true.
Maybe I should make up stuff for IMDb trivia.
You should. You would come up with cool stuff. I would love it.
A little fan fiction moment on IMDb trivia.
We should put all of our gay shit, like all of our how could it be gayer, and put it in as a trivia fact. Like, did you know that Thackeray Binks and that boy from the beginning are lovers?
You may not have realized, but that moment when they touched cheeks was actually part of an ancient 1600s ritual in which young gay men would rub cheeks as a sign of affection without outing themselves in public. Did you believe that? Does that feel?
I believe
I'll put it on there.
If you say anything with confidence on the internet, it's a fact.
If it's on the internet, it must be true. Except for this thing about the animatronic cat, I guess.
Yeah, that's a
But
lie.
other than that, everything else is true.
Oh my God. Do we want to talk about the end now, or do you have?
I want to talk about the oven scene
Okay.
in the alley. Oh, we should talk about the singing also more.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what the song?
The song.
Spell on you.
Mm-hmm. But one thing I want to talk about before we move on is just the song. You know, I know that we've touched on it. We talked about dancing with sexy Madonna mommy. But I just think like it is one of the most iconic performances of our whole time. You know what I mean? And like of our generation. I think it is powerful. I think it is moving. I think it is stunning, gorgeous. But I also just think like the way that Max is trying to, you said this last time, but I'm going to say it this time because I'm the one who's talking right now. The way that Max is up on stage. Do you want to butt in? Do you want to say it? The way that Max is up on stage and he's
You've
trying
done
to
that like
everybody
2 other
listen.
times, but I've done the same thing back to you. Like I said the Blade Runner 2049 thing last time, and then
Did you? I forgot.
No, it's totally fucking fine. I brought something up that you brought up too, just as I was like, I only remember, the only facts I remember is what we did in our life. Anyway, continue. It's fine. Go for it.
Max was on stage trying to be like, everybody listen, the sisters are back, things are bad. And then Winnie in the crowd just like throws her arms out and uses it to make her grand entrance and effortlessly steps on stage and is like, yes, we're back and we've got a little performance for you. And it is so stunning, beautiful, incredible,
and
iconic.
we are
Beautiful.
all choreographed by the Kenneth Ortega.
Kenny Ortega, High School Musical, Descendants, etc.
Fame.
More things,
a
probably.
star.
He's incredible, and it shows. It really shows in this moment. And like God, thank God there's a musical number. There had to be because it's Bette Midler. But
and
like
it's camp.
And because it's camp. But like holy shit, she knocks it out of the park every time. That is the only version of the song now. That's not true. There's also some other really good versions, but that's the best one.
Nina Simone gets to do it, and Bette Midler gets to do it, and that's it.
The buck stops here. Is that phrase?
I think.
I think that's the phrase.
They're talking about I was gonna say male deers, but those are stags. What's a buck? I have
no fucking clue. I don't fucking know. Is it a bull? No.
Well, a vaulting horse. The male of some horned animals, especially the fallow deer, roe deer, reindeer, and antelopes,
are called bucks. Buck season,
It's got a lot of different meanings. It's about inflation. It's about deers.
It's about inflation.
What more could anybody ask of a phrase?
Anyway, the movie.
So sorry to anybody who thought that this was going to be a coherent episode. I'm so sorry.
We're not even all inebriated right now.
I'm sorry. We're not even all inebriated. Some key language in there for some people.
I feel like Chelsea and I are acting the most drunk. So anyway, moving on. So what is the thing that we wanted to talk about next? Someone else.
The part right after that, when they're hiding in the alleyway from the Sanderson sisters, and then they just like trip and fall over an abandoned oven in the alleyway. As you know how everybody keeps their old ovens in the alleyway, they just like tote it out there, and then they're just like, this is where you live now, this is your home. And she just like rests her hands on the oven door, and then it falls open, and then she's like, I have an idea. And I love it because it's not literally the words witches, Salem, let's burn them, but it's close enough, you know what I mean, to really get the point across, and then to be like, what is like an oven but big, a kiln, and I think that is great too. I think it's a really gorgeous use of the resources at their disposal. They said, hey, we already shot at a school, let's use that same filming location, and let's put the Fountain from Friends theme song outside.
And also, I was just jealous because that's a really nice kiln that they have at their school. It's really nice. And I just also really love that she's like, oh, an oven's here. Yes, we will cook them alive. Just like immediately, I'm like, Allison, we already knew you had a spooky background, but shit, you're ready to kill. You're ready. In a very gruesome way.
I know how witches are supposed to die. On fire.
In hellfire.
In hellfire.
Wow. Allison, boss bitch.
Such a boss bitch. But okay, the end of this movie, rewatching it again, I realized that they only die because of spite. Like,
yes, fully yes. And I respect that.
Oh my God.
And I relate to that.
They literally only die because Winnie is butthurt that Danny says, you'll always be ugly because you sold your soul and that makes you hideous or something like that, which was a bad bitch thing to say. She's a feisty little shit. Love her. But that the words of a like 6-year-old girl were enough to hurt Winnie enough that she will literally lay down her own life and the life of her sisters when there are like 45,000 little children right outside of her door, not to mention Jay and Ice hanging from the ceiling, all these
and
fucking
little
children in cages ready to go, and they're like, nah, we gotta do Danny. And the sisters are like, yeah, no, we're not going to challenge you on this at all. I mean, they're very supportive of Winifred, and I like that. That's a sister lovely moment. Too bad Winifred literally abuses both of them the entire time, and it's not reciprocal.
Well, Sarah did fuck her boyfriend. Not that that's the same, but I'm just saying, like, it does show the way that loyalty works here, because like you can fuck your sister's boyfriend, but you also can implicitly support her whenever she has a beef with somebody. You know what I mean? So I think like the duality of man, and also like
another great theme of this film, the duality of man.
The duality of man. Madonna-whore is part of that duality.
Yeah. Oh, actually bringing it back. Good job.
See, it always comes back around eventually. But yeah, I think that it is beautiful the way that she said, this is one beef I will never let go, and I will take it to my gasping, dying breath. And then she does. Then she sure does. Oh, something that we talked about during our first recording that actually was really good, that I don't want us to not talk about again, that I just remembered, is the way that technology is like truly their downfall in this movie. Like all of the modern adaptations are what get them in the end. Like, first of all, the concept of daylight savings time, buying them enough time, the headlights on the car buying them enough time, the fact that when they're at fake Satan's house, these 3 sweet little precious little baby Sanderson sisters come and steal their real brooms, and so they end up taking like things from the house that's like a vacuum, a mop, whatever the other one is, and the cord of the vacuum is like what gets Winnie or what gets Mary like screwed over, because Allison and Billy Butcherson and Danny, yes, they can grab onto the cord of the vacuum, and then like in Squid Game, at just the right moment they can release, and Mary goes absolutely flying.
Mary and Sarah.
Yeah, because Sarah's holding on to her at that time. They're doing a little sister moment. I just think it is, we said it better last time, but we can't bring that back for you. I'm so sorry. I wish we could give you a coherent episode. This is what you're getting. But we did say that, and now I've said it again. Amazing. That's the end of the thought.
Another thing that I didn't realize the first time like we watched this is that I thought it didn't make sense. I thought it was just added drama that Winifred becomes a statue and then she explodes because everybody else just explodes, but that's not right. That's not right. Well, I was wrong. What it is that she's on hallowed ground, and the hallowed ground turns her into a statue, turns her to stone. And then the sun comes up, and so she explodes.
And then she explodes. Okay,
that is sense. So funny that you say that and that you didn't realize it before, because I only put the pieces together as soon as you said there was something to put together. Because when I was watching it again earlier, they were like, this is hallowed ground, they can't go there. And then I was like, then how do they have 2 scenes in the movie here? I gotta pay attention to the explanation. But they're just flying over it both of those other times, and that she's boots on the ground on that moment.
She's boots on the ground. She gets yeeted off of her broom, and then she turns to stone.
Oh my God.
Turned her heart to stone.
I love to watch the movie and see what the movie's been trying to show me for 25 years.
We're 3 people who are
observing
all together, and we didn't notice it the first time. So I'm sure there's others who also didn't notice it the first time. But,
may someone think this was as smart as our conversation on the autopsy of Jane Doe.
Boom.
We can't have. There's, there are.
It can't be autopsy of Jane Doe every time.
Yeah, come on.
You get one per year.
Award-winning theories every time.
One per year.
But yeah, I also loved the idea of Winnie just being the most dramatic of them, and so she had the most dramatic death. Like that just completely made sense to me, so I did not question it. But in reality, there are rules that we sort of knew about in the film, and she broke one. Big no-no.
Wow.
But yeah. Also, another thing that I noticed that I never noticed before is that Danny fucks herself over by being a cute little nice girl. Like, she's literally perfectly safe. She's like down in a fucking 6-foot grave, right? That was Billy's grave. She's surrounded by salt, so she's really low. So it's going to be hard for them to get down there and pick her up without touching the ground. The reason she gets snatched is because Billy gets his head kicked off, and she gets up out of her safe place to go get his head. He's fine. He's fine without his. He didn't need.
He doesn't need it.
That. You don't need to save the day. The whole reason this is happening is because everyone's trying to save you, little girl. This man is already dead. There's nothing you can do for him. I didn't realize that. I was like, you dumb little cutie. Get back in your fucking grave right now, miss.
Get in your
or
hole.
else.
Yeah, she has some real audacity at points, though. Like, she really stands up to the bullies. Good for her, but then doesn't stand up to the bullies because she's like, my brother's gonna beat you up. And it's like, baby, there are 7 of them. Right? What do you expect your one brother to do against 7 bullies of his age, roughly speaking? That's just not a fair fight. You know what I mean? And girl, we know you're not gonna back him up.
Okay, but Max was a little leaguer, so
that was another funny thing that I read on IMDb or something. It was in the original shooting script. So this must have been from when I was watching the extra footage that I'll share in the episode notes so that everybody can see what I saw. But there was also originally going to be like a whole montage of them like knocking on Halloween doors, doing their trick-or-treating moment with him saying all kinds of bunch of different costumes. Because as he tells his dad, he says he's a rap singer. And then his dad has that very funny moment where his dad's like, oh, then shouldn't your hat be sideways? And he just like tweaks it. The dad cracks me up in this movie. But
he's great.
He also at points said, I'm a blind center fielder. I'm Christian Slater. I'm Jack Nicholson's long lost zombie son. I'm Ray Charles. I'm her brother. Like, he had all of these answers ready to go for his just like sick ass cool guy outfit.
He's got the. You go. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say I made a reference to like an 18-year-old about this movie when he was like posted his costume, and I commented on Instagram and I was like, what are you supposed to be? A new kid on the block? And he did not get it.
Wow.
He fully did not understand.
What are they teaching the youths in school these days?
I am very concerned about the youth of America. Honestly.
Youths, explain yourselves. Well, if they're watching this, or listening to this is a podcast. You listen to them, you do not watch them. If you're listening to this, now you've seen it. And so now you can be one of the youths telling all of the other youths about the new kid on the block joke so that they understand when the time comes. And also all of the other jokes. There's a lot of good jokes in here.
There's so many good jokes.
The Madonna gag, the whole thing is honestly very funny, especially Danny not even recognizing her mom and then being like, who are you? And the mom's like, I'm Madonna. Obviously, right? It's obvious. Isn't it obvious? Like, it's, I probably didn't get it as a kid either, but it was just like, she's so fun. Anyway.
I definitely did not get that as a child. I was like, I have no idea what this is.
Do we want to do our segments?
Sure.
I think we've covered it. I think we got all the main bits. Also, if you heard a scary sound in the background of this recording, it was my boyfriend chopping wood downstairs, literally.
Is Adam trying to seduce us?
He's literally chopping wood down there. I was like, what the fuck is going on? He has a real fire burning in the fireplace downstairs.
Another reference to the Vitch 2010 mid-tens.
You know, we love a good sexy person to chop wood. How dare Adam do this to us? Tell James to go record it.
That's too horny for this episode. That's the line.
Nothing is too horny for this episode. Okay.
We're horny for Halloween. Okay. Were you surprised? This is our big time of year. Come on.
True.
But speaking of being horny, how could this have been gayer? There's a lot of groundwork already there. We already covered the fact that SJP made us all gay, and so that makes it innately gay itself.
We've talked about Thackeray and his young boyfriend and their 1600s era appropriate closeted cheek nuzzle. Gay. That's not what I meant to say. That was not the word that I meant to say.
Gay.
Danny is too sassy to not eventually grow up and be a bisexual.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You see her funky outfit? I mean, I know she's supposed to be dressed up as a witch, but like, I bet she brings that energy every day.
I bet she still wears outfits exactly like that.
I want to wear that exact outfit. So I think it scans then that she's going to grow up to be an eccentric bisexual like myself.
Jay and Ernie also, they are the definition of be gay, do crime. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh.
They're out here sharing cigarettes, stealing shoes, asking people for cash, shaving each other's heads. That's pretty gay. I can only assume they did it together. You know what I mean? You can't shave your own head to say ice.
Together.
They do all kinds of stuff together. But also the Sanderson sisters, like, not a single straight one among them. Like, I do get strong asexual vibes off of Mary. If there is an absolute opposite, and I know it's called allosexual, but I would argue that Sarah is hypersexual. And Winifred, there's a reason why Jay and Ice ended up in cages for calling her ugly, but she was willing to literally die over a girl that called her ugly. I'm not saying she had any kind of inappropriate feelings towards an 8-year-old. I'm saying that she values the opinion of women so much more highly than any man, and it's because she gay.
She do be gay.
That's canonical.
She
right
gay.
There.
And I know that we say a lot of villains are gay, and I know that some people might be like, that's bad representation, blah, blah, blah. This all exists within a gay cinematic universe when we talk about these things. Like, there's no such thing as bad gay representation when we say that a villain is gay or queer or gender nonconforming in whatever way, because in our versions, it would be good.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
I mean, I would want Winnie to join the crew. I mean, like, that's a powerful ally. Not an ally. She's not an ally. She's gay. That's the thing.
She gay.
She gay.
Max also bisexual. It just feels right to me.
Yeah.
Feels right to me in my heart.
I could see that. He's got a swagger. God, I just like, he's so smooth in the beginning.
He's so smooth.
He's so
I
smooth.
could never say anything that's smooth now. And he was a child.
And he's like drawing little marijuana leaves on his homework in his class at his new school. Come on.
Like,
come on, that's a cool kid.
California kid.
Okay,
he's making virginity cool. They should. This is the purity advertisement of our day.
Are we supposed to believe Max is a virgin though? Like, he's too smooth and too cool.
He's overcompensating.
Virgins can be cool.
Yeah.
Can they though?
I was very cool until I was no longer a virgin. So that's proof right there.
Stopped being cool. I'm kidding.
Mean thing to say. Take it back.
I'm sorry. I take it back. It's not true.
How dare you? I remain.
When I was a virgin, I was super fucking lame. So,
all right. So point counterpoint. You know, we'll never know.
Again, mine is so old now. I don't.
Nobody knows. Nobody can remember.
Like before.
No one remembers.
Before times.
It was before written language.
It was right at the dawn of MySpace.
Oh my God. Wow. Amazing. That's
more dated than a hieroglyphic.
Boom, bitch.
All right. Well, where would our boy Maddie Lily fit into the picture here?
We talked about this on our Lost, Forgotten, Erased Forever episode.
Kelsey, of course we did. We did a whole episode.
I know, but I want to say, if we don't present it as smoothly, I still think it needs to be said that Billy Butcherson would be the most iconic spot for him. He's tall and lean, just like Doug Jones. He would look great under a mountain of prosthetics. He would put live moths in his mouth. Like, I know that he would slay that role. And it's not that I would want Doug Jones to be replaced, but it's that I think that Matthew Lillard would deliver an equally iconic performance.
I'm right with you there. I never want a recast of anyone in this film, but a Maddie Lily edition is always a value add, you know? That's why we do this segment. So
I think he would be too young. Or I think he'd be too old in 93, but I think he could have been the person Thackeray Binks
Oh.
instead of the NCIS guy.
Look.
Oh, fuck. That is the NCIS guy. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Which NCIS guy?
I don't like knowing that, actually.
Okay, then don't tell me because I don't want to know it. But
He's
he
not
was
bad. I just don't like that.
Sure.
They're the same.
Maddie Lily was roughly 23 or so in 1993. If all of these CW stars can be on the CW playing teenagers, I think that they could have a 23-year-old Matthew Lillard playing Thackeray.
Boom. I want that.
Go back, get the time machine, power it up.
I want that.
Go.
Omri Katz, who played Max, is only like 6 years younger. What's the NCIS guy's name? Thackeray Binks, actor. This is me doing a Google. Sean Murray, age 43. Okay, so he's 7 years younger, but that's like roughly contemporaries. They wanted Leo DiCaprio to play Max, and Leo DiCaprio is like roughly the same age as Maddie Lily, give or take 4 years per Google. I think he could slot right in. Or what if he was Thackeray's boyfriend? You know what I mean? He could be the boyfriend.
I love that.
But I would want more of him. But also just a little taste would
A
be
little
nice too.
cheek nuzzle.
Lovely.
You know that he knows how to do a cheek nuzzle. We saw him do some in Scream.
It's true.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
very adept at that. Also, like, he was playing like a 17-year-old when he was 30. So like anything is possible.
Yes. Yeah.
And that brings us to our dumb bitch, and it's Max.
Yeah, it has to be Max.
There's really no way. I mean,
well, it could also be Winnie.
Yeah, that would be my only other suggestion.
Not just taking a child, you know, like she had to
be that child
and be like, it has
Very
to be this one.
That said, I love a petty queen. You know what I mean? So I'm on her side.
I wanted her to kill that kid.
No, I didn't want her to kill Danny because I am Danny. If my brother didn't want to take me trick-or-treating, I absolutely would immediately throw a tantrum. And then if my brother was like, you ruined trick-or-treating, get your candy and go home, I absolutely would dramatically throw myself into a hay pile and refuse to move until I was appropriately comforted. So I'm rooting for Danny every step of the way because I'm a Danny, but I'm also a Winnie, you know what I mean? And so it's like a little bit of an internal conflict, some turmoil for me. And I'm an adult grown woman now, so I'm more of a Winnie these days than I am a Danny.
I see that. I feel that.
But I'm also a Mary. I'm a Mary.
Both them bitches in the end. Winnie, we love her. She's got the voice of an angel, but she's got some things she needs to iron out.
Sure.
In therapy. But we don't think that that's going to happen unless they have therapy when you're a green cloud of smoke or something, wherever they are now. Which they might. Who fucking knows?
Well, we said they're not dead. Maybe they're in limbo. You know what I mean? Maybe they've got lots of time for thoughts.
In limbo.
Little thoughts in their little head.
But also, Max really gets it for me because, like, I love him. Don't get me wrong. Swagger of a champion. But his Halloween lore erasure is unforgivable. Even though he learns his goddamn lesson, it's still unforgivable, and I won't forget it anytime soon. And so he's a dumb bitch.
Dumb bitch, Max, 100%.
He's a dumb bitch. All right.
Also, he really was the one who outed himself as a virgin. You know what I mean? He really was the one that was like, sure, let me light this candle in front of everybody. Girl, nobody asked you.
Yeah. You knew full well you're a virgin. But he didn't believe.
He didn't believe.
Fool. Okay, that brings us to our knives out of 5s. So Chelsea, please set the scene. What did the good people think about this film?
So as mentioned, critics did not like it. Roger Ebert was not alone in absolutely roasting this movie. So while on IMDb it has a 6.9 out of 10, on Rotten Tomatoes it got 38% rotten from critics. 38%, which
38.
Embarrassing. Yeah, terrible. Luckily,
Blasphemy.
audiences gave it a 71% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Good.
So that's pretty good. You know, that's a pretty decent rating.
Okay, but
as
imagine
for
being one of those critics and being so embarrassed about being wrong by only giving it a 38%. Imagine.
would you go and retroactively change your rating? I probably would.
Oh, 100%.
I'd say I need to write a letter to the editor condemning this, retracting my previous take. I need to go on the record and correct this egregious mistake.
That's like what Pitchfork is doing right now. They're like rewriting a whole bunch of their album reviews from like 10 years ago. I don't know why, but like
I
that's
love it,
what
though.
all of these critics should be doing.
They said
Like,
we did an
eating
oopsie.
their words. They should print out their mean review and eat it. To eat their words for talking shit about Bet. How dare they? Talking shit about
True.
Kenny. All my
Kenny?
name.
A
Kenny
legend?
Ortega. Unacceptable. I certainly won't be giving it a 38%. I'm going to give this shit a 5 out of 5 because this is the most beautiful nostalgic film and I love it. And it made me fucking cry big fat tears when I watched it last time because I love that little fucking cat so much. Thackeray Binks' cat form is better even than sexy billowy shirt teenage Thackeray Binks. Like it's amazing. Also, I see what they did with the CGI and they made him a black cat. 1, because it's spooky. 2, because you can't tell how actually kind of jacked the CGI is. If you look really, really close, you're like, oh, fuck. But it's fine. It's movie magic. It's 1993. We don't care. We care about Bette Midler, and we get so much Bette Midler, and she's so amazing. And the greatest song of all time. There's nothing left to want. This gives me everything. I felt feelings. I felt spooky. I dyed my hair orange because of it. I didn't. It's spray. Can you imagine if I dyed my hair orange for an episode of this podcast? That would be... You guys would need to give me a talking to if I ever do that. Please.
I don't know. Y'all were like, Sydney, why didn't
it.
you shave ice in the back of your head earlier this episode?
I was
so like
joshing around.
I wasn't, and I think
I
you
know
should
Chelsea
dye your
was
hair.
not.
I think you should do semi-permanent bodily modifications for each and every episode.
Perfect. A tattoo for every single episode.
I said semi-permanent. Pierce an ear. Take the piercing out 2 weeks later. Close right up.
I'd probably just rather get a tattoo.
Yeah. But anyway, this movie, 5 out of 5 for me. I fucking loved it. And I will watch it every year for the rest of my life until the day I die. So thank you, Bette Midler.
I also give it a 5 out of 5. There will be no conversation, no arguments. It is what it is, and it is a 5 out of 5.
And taking no notes at this time. So Sydney.
No criticism at this time. Please and thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, I also got to go with 5 out of 5. I mean, was I a little bit of a hater this time a full month ago? Sure. But was I fully converted by watching it again? And did you mention even more things that I did not notice last time or any of the other 20 times that I've watched this movie? Absolutely. So there's always more to discover. I think this movie is pretty smart. I think it's pretty funny. There's a lot of very funny quotes. There are a lot of like really interesting for adults moments. There is Max spouting conspiracy theories about the candy companies in the beginning. I just think like there's a lot of good stuff to work with here other than, oh, Allison, you're so soft. Although if you took it away, I would cry. It does need to be there. It does need to be there. It's an essential part of the film.
As essential as Yabos.
It sets the tone for everything else. You know what I mean? They said this is a horny movie. We'll start off the bat with pillow fucking and him saying it's so soft. But there's just like everything is flawless, is perfect. I don't have a single complaint. I just think everything is great. Everything is great. No notes, 5 out of 5. Perfect movie.
We found it. The perfect film. Hocus Pocus 1993. Happy Halloween.
And scene.
So Halloween is 1 month a year, but we keep it spooky always, baby. So starting out next week, November, it continues. Chelsea, you need to introduce this one.
Thank you so much. This is the movie that I referenced on our mini-sode in between seasons. This is the movie that inspired me to pitch and get shot down for Werewolf Month. This is the movie that I got shot down so hard, you guys, but it's fine. This is the movie that changed my life. No. Yeah, and honestly, it was effective because I sure kept trying and she sure kept being like no, and I was like okay, and then I accepted it. But we're still doing this film. Our spooky friend from our OG spooky crew, Katie, showed it to us. I can't believe I had never seen or heard of it before. It is a Kevin Williamson, Wes Craven collab. They really thought that it was going to be the next Scream. For whatever reason, it wasn't. I have seen other podcasts cover this movie in the last year and they didn't like it. And I don't know why, because I have found absolutely not a single thing wrong with this film.
A single thing?
Did I say that? Did I say that?
You said single thing.
Oopsie.
It's the Thackeray. It's Thackeray. Thackeray got you in the
end. Oopsie. There's not a single thing wrong with this film. And we will tell you all about it next week. The movie is called Cursed. It came out in 2005. It has an insane cast and it is flawless, no notes.
It is incredible.
It's amazing.
It's
I
camp.
Can't fucking wait to watch it again.
It's camp, you guys.
Fucking blast talking
if you didn't like this film, if you've seen it and you didn't like it, we're gonna convince you. We're not taking any feedback. No notes.
Don't like it. No notes. Do you not like it, or do you just not like me? That's how I will react.
Treat you like a goddess.
That's how we'll react if you don't like this movie. So prepare yourself. Anyway, that is a happy little spooky Halloween for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more spooky content all year long, why not follow us on social media at spooky_Tuesday on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. I think that's it. And then we're also Spooky Tuesday Pod on Facebook and Tumblr, and at Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. And, why not give us a little treat? We tricked you into thinking we'd talk about the movie this episode. So why don't you treat us to a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser? Consider it. We would love it. We all love a treat. Happy Halloween.
Bye, spooky.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Haidt, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamra, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.
Zachary Beans, what took these so long?
I'm sorry, Emily. I had to wait 300 years for a virgin to light a candle.